the classes from earlier today to have the experience. You deserve to have the experience too. Our master's level students, you deserve to be able to talk about and listen to women and the contributions of women. And so I knew that I needed to have a panel to come this evening so that you too could be a part of Women's History Month. And so we're going to have a brief conversation with these women. I'm going to moderate and ask them a few questions. I'm going to turn to you at some point if there's something more that you want to know, if there's something more that you want to learn, if you like to meet them after, if you like to get a name, a number, an email, you are more than welcome to do that, right? But I wanted to make sure that you didn't just think that you were being brought here for no reason, as we've got one of our colleagues that didn't understand why he was here. So this is why I thought that it would be a great idea to close out the month. Oh, you didn't want me to tell it was you? I'm joking. Okay, I'm being silly, but I just didn't want to let us close out Women's History Month without you being able to participate. Does that make sense to us? Is that okay? Good. All right, so we're ready to get started. And guess what? Not only am I the badge lady, right? The ID lady, I'm also the lady that gets you a free ride. You get to come here. Who else does that for you? Thank me later. Okay, so we're ready. Everybody understands why we're here. That was a little, so that'll be like what, a monologue before the open log, Anibal? We're already live. We're already live, oh God. All right, it's time for me to stop goofing off. So, now we get to greet our audience. So I'm going to open up by saying hello and welcome. Welcome. We thank you. We take this opportunity to thank you for thinking enough of Atlantis University that you would chime in and that you would find it important to tune into what we are talking about on this evening. I am Dr. Maya Bird-Stewart, Dean of Academics at Atlantis University. We have convened here with us not only a dynamic panel of women, but we have our students and some of our staff and some of our awesome faculty that are also here with us. We thought it would be fitting that we close out Women's History Month talking to women and listening to women that have a story, that have a background, some women that are known as the first to accomplish something, whether it's in their families, whether it's in our societies, whether it's in our community. Women that make a contribution in more ways than we can count. And so with that being said, we'll open up with allowing these women to tell us a little bit about themselves, and then we'll jump in with some of my questions. Without further ado, someone has asked not to be the first, so I won't identify who that is, but so we'll start here on my end with Lakitha. Lakitha, tell us your name, give us a few minutes telling us a little something about yourself.
All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. And first, let me say I am truly honored here to be here with all of you today. And of course, just, being a part of Women's, Month. This history is history. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Lakitha Orta. I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. And a little bit about my background. I work with Bank of America. I am an academy manager, but my journey didn't just start there. I started with Bank of America 19 years ago and working on my 20th year as a teller. So you'll get to hear a little bit about my story and my journey as I kind of went through those chains of commands through Bank of America. A little bit about what I do in the academy. I'm part of HR, so onboarding and training new to role associates. So that's my passion. And again, it's a pleasure being here with you guys today.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Natasha Hampton, and I won, a little fun fact, I won Best Supporting Actress for playing Mama in The Raisin in the Sun. So I didn't make it to Hollywood. I should have been Will Smith's wife. I would have stopped him from slapping Chris Rock. I would have. But I didn't make it there. But what I did do was I have a 26-year career in municipal government as an executive in local government. I started as an administrative clerk 1, the lowest entry-level position, and I climbed my way through the ranks to the first person of color as Director of Human Resources in the city of Miramar. Thank you. From entry level to executive management to assistant city manager, acting city manager, to becoming the first person of color and the first woman selected city manager for the city of College Park, Maryland. And I have just had an enormous life in municipal government. I am a best-selling author, High Heel Leadership, The Art of Being a Woman in Power. I write about women in leadership and the need for us to ring our bell, to toot our horn. We don't do that enough as women. You're gonna hear that tonight. If not from these ladies, you're gonna hear it from me. I'm gonna toot my horn tonight. And also, too, I have a book that's coming out in the next couple of weeks, When the Heel Breaks. It talks about how we bear a lot as women. We take on the weight of the world, and we still keep rocking. So I hope that you learn a lot about women and a lot about the contributions that women make in this society, not just here at Atlantis University. By the way, I'm also a professor here at Atlantis University, and I'm really proud of that. I'm proud to be here this evening among so many great women. And so enjoy yourself tonight. I'm sure that you'll learn a lot. Thank you for having me.
Hi, very good evening. My name is Jyoti Singh. A very big thank you to you, again, giving me a chance to speak on this topic, which I really love. And thank you all of you to be here. And I am from India. Indians? Shout out to Indians. That was low. You're not happy. I'm a student here, and I work as a tutor, and I'm planning to be a data analyst. Yes, when I started, I had big dreams. I still have big dreams. All I would say is that I'm striving towards them, and so far I've learned is that we should focus only on the journey and not on the goal. Because eventually if we work towards them, we will be able to achieve them. And as a woman, as I said earlier also in the panel, women should support other women no matter what the case is. That's it.
Absolutely.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Are you guys bored enough right now? And we all keep on saying women, women. I'm like, man, why are we here?
Because you need to hear about women.
No, but I say is that, we can talk about it later. I'm Rekha Jidala, president of SRR International, and my company provides IT professional support services for the government agencies, and also we have our own proprietary e-learning solution. And again, one thing I want to say, whether it's for women or men, all of your young kids, you can achieve anything. There is, in today's world, especially in today's world, the only thing which is stopping us to achieve anything is us, but nothing else. We all have enough tools for ourselves.
I agree. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. And so now that you have had a chance to meet everyone in the room, certainly now that you've had an opportunity to hear from our panelists, I'm going to jump right in. So we're here today because this marks the close of Women's History Month. So what I'd like to do is have each of you very succinctly tell us, what does Women's History Month mean to you? What does such a recognition or celebration of the idea, right, of women and women in society, women making a contribution, what does that mean to you?
Well, I guess I'll start over here. So what Women's Month, what I feel like it believes to me. So I kind of gave you a snippet. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and if you know anything about Georgia, there's history there. And actually, I can say I'm truly blessed to have a grandmother that just turned, well, it's 100, but she clocks at 102. Based off what her mother wrote in the Bible. So she's 102. She's going to be celebrating her birthday on April 1st. So we are truly blessed in our family, just being raised up, of course, by my grandmother, which is a strong Black woman, and of course, you know, all of my mothers and my aunts, and of course my granddad. So he was there as well. But just really looking at what history, and I can remember just being a little girl raised up on the farm and really hearing all of those stories. I mean, some were good, some was hard to swallow, but that was history. We don't really go, and that what makes me where I am today. Now, when I say about legacy and what, you know, Women's Month means to me is coming from a small town in Wickerson County, Georgia, and I was able to kind of trail that pathway and be one of the first of my family to come out and go into corporate America. And what I mean by corporate America is that, you know, we have a family business, and some of those things you kind of follow the footstep because that's how you was raised. But going back to how women, the equal, you know, how you worked in the company to be that face there, because again, we was always in the back door, but just kind of fighting to kind of get up in the front and making that stand. So for me, it's history, much about my history, and the ones that has paved the way for me to actually be out there.
Awesome. Natasha, what does Women's History Month mean to you?
You know, I have a mentor. I started my career with her in 1997, and when I first saw her, the very first thing that I said, who is that? Because I need to get to know her. And she remains my friend, she remains my mentor to this day. And one of the things that we talked about very recently is the homage that women rarely pay to the women that paved the way for them. And what Women's History means for me, it particularly because Women's History Month is new. This is a new concept. This isn't something that's been going on for a very long time. This is fairly new, is that this month is the month that women get to tell her story. It's not one that's just something that's written just from past, from someone else's perspective. For me, this month really is an opportunity for women to tell their story the way it really happened, and for women to get the opportunity to pay homage to the women that helped them to break glass ceilings, to climb the ladder. I would not have been able to accomplish the things that I have been able to accomplish without the women that came before me. And I live every day, all of the things that I accomplish them with that in my mind. Recognizing the women, my elders, the women that came before me, recognizing that none of this is possible without the sweat and the tears and the unequal pay and all of the things that the women before me have had to endure. So I get to tell their story during Women's History Month. That's what this month means to me, that I get to tell their story.
Wow.
Thank you. I would say it's a very small period of time of celebrating women, because women should be celebrated every day. If we talk about, like, I am from a country wherein women, we still, if we are wives, stay with our in-laws. So we still want to pursue our career, we still want to do a lot of things at the same point in time. We are expected to do a lot more at the family level. Be a daughter, be a wife, be a sister, be an auntie. So what we strive to make sure, to make everyone happy and still work towards what we want is the thing that should be celebrated every single day, because we work every day to achieve it. we have the right intentions. It's just not we think about only about our career or about ourselves. We take, responsibility of the happiness of each one of us around to make sure that you're bringing and we're taking everyone along with us. That's what it is all about.
Awesome. What does Women's History Month mean to you?
For me, again, to be specific, like history is my favorite subject. I always felt when you read history, right, we think history is a good way for us to refer back. What has happened? People have been born, people have been dead, and during that time, people have faced challenges, people have excelled things. So one of the things is the history is kind of telling you, you don't need to rediscover things. You need to build over it. And Women's History Month is that as she has said, the previous generation has paved a lot of path for us. We should not strive and talk about the previous problems. Those problems should have end, and we should come with solutions for the newer ones. And the next generation can come make our existing solutions much more better.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome, 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 awesome. Just what I wanted to hear, your perspective. I actually wanted that, but so here's the next question. What have you accomplished that you are most proud of? What have you accomplished that has allowed you to make a contribution that you are most proud of?
Wow, I would say I have a lot to be very thankful for. Now, looking across the room, I'm looking at a couple of faces, but what I can say is probably one of my moments, my newest recent accomplishment. I'm a mother of 4. My boys are here, but they're being on their best behavior, and I also have an adult, just like you, probably older as you. She's 26 years old right now, so mother of 4. But after 24 years, I said, you know what? I am going to go back to school and finish my degree. And my daughter said, you know what? I think that'd be great. She was going to school too. We both enrolled and went to college together. That was our thing. And we cheered each other on until the end of that journey, which I got the opportunity to actually do your commencement speech for Atlantis University. So that was a proud moment to speak in front of you guys in that panel. But I would definitely say that was one of my biggest moments, besides my kids and, of course, my family. But that was a huge moment for me to really cross that finish line after 24 years. People are like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? You're going back to school after that time? You've already been there. But like I said, I started as a teller, cashing checks long time ago. But between those ranks, I had a plethora of roles coming up. But that tells you that even then, I said, that's not enough. I want to go back, and I need to do this for me. And it also encouraged my daughter to go back and get her degree. So that would, for me, that was like one of my huge recent accomplishments. I have plenty more, but I'm going to keep it very short. But I thought that was just really simple and sweet. And of course, I had Atlanta University, of course. They were my support. I had a lot of things going on. At the time, we had a definite family. So, of course, that was a huge thing. And the fact that this school supported my busy work life, being a mom, being an assistant vice president. Like, my life is busy. I couldn't deal. People's like, how are you going to get it done? Like, if it took me being up at 2 a.m. to just get my work submitted, that was my commitment to make sure it was done. And not just submitted. Like, I wanted to put my all in and make sure it was submitted right. So thank you, Atlantis. I have to give you credit for that, because you guys were great with just the flexibility of going back. So one of my hugest accomplishments.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And so if I want to just put in a shameless plug, Atlantis University, doing what we do, we'll take it. We'll take it. What have you accomplished that makes you most proud, that has made an impact and makes you most proud?
I'm born and raised in Liberty City, Florida. Liberty City is an underserved community, and I'm actually a statistic. 2 months before I graduated high school, I found myself pregnant, and I went the entire 9 months of my pregnancy and didn't tell anyone. I didn't see a doctor. I had no prenatal care. I went through 1 semester of college and didn't tell a soul that I was pregnant because I was fearful. I had very strict parents. After I had my son, who's now 33 years old, I found myself homeless in a shelter right here in downtown Miami. But I persevered. I overcame obstacles. It was tough, it was hard, but I overcame obstacles. I did not allow fear. I did not allow false evidence that appears real, fear, to stop me from persevering. That is my biggest accomplishment. Because I didn't pass fear on to my children. I didn't pass that on to my children. I have 3 thriving children that broke the cycle. My children are adults out of their teens, and none of them have children. Thank God. But they broke the cycle. My mom was a teen mom. Her mom was a teen mom. My kids broke the cycle because I didn't pass fear on to my children. That is my greatest accomplishment.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
I'm really impressed. That takes a lot. About me, I would like to say that I brought revolution in my own family, doing night shifts, staying in hostels for education. This was not the thing which was allowed in my family. Because yes, I had my dad always, my elder sisters always, who could not do things because my mom was not well. So they actually took care of my mom. So I had the opportunity to do things which my sisters could not do, and they wanted to accomplish that dream through me. So they were supportive no matter if it was a success or was a failure. They said, if you want to do it, you have the urge to do it, you feel that you should do it, you should do it. So what I think is that no matter, and I would like to share it with you guys, especially women, world is going to judge you, whatever you do. Whether it is right or wrong, no one understands or care about your situation. But you focus and you do what you are supposed to do because you know your worth and you know who you are. So that is my biggest saying over here, that I had a family. I have 2 elder sisters, 1 elder brother who were always next to me. They are still next to me and they say, okay, you want to do it? Do it. But regardless of that, I think you should be able to support yourself and your thoughts so much that you don't think it's impossible. You know you have to do it, so you have to do it. But you need to have the right focus. So I brought the revolution. I'm the first one in my family who made it to US, doing masters, planning to do PhD, and planning to write a book too. Because why I think it was tough? Because after my mom passed away in 2014, I was into depression, and somewhere or the other, it still, comes back to you when you fail or you're not able to get what you actually expect from yourself. But you don't stop. You keep moving forward. Every day you get up and you say, hey, I am going to do it. There are people in support at times. There are people at times the people who are very close to you and they're against you. But you support yourself. You don't care what the world does. So that's the thing. And as a woman, we can accomplish way more than we think we do. We have way more potential.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's all.
Absolutely.
I'm fearless, and I expect everyone to be like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jyoti. Thank you, Jyoti. Rekha, what of the many of your accomplishments, what have you accomplished that you find to be the most impactful?
I don't know if I have accomplished anything, but I think what I might have given to people surrounding to me or who have observed me is that you can achieve things, and then you don't need to stay at that place. So I was one of the first girl to be graduated 27 years ago, and but I was the first one to do a job, and I mean I never had any challenges or anything in life. Bless me, I'm thankful about that. And then I never stayed at the same thing. Okay, I started as a programmer, and at that time, like women, most of the women, they would expect them to be like a tester or something, and they've never expected women to be achieving the bigger stuff or intelligent enough. Then I went from a programmer. I just didn't stay there. I went in, make myself into a bit bigger role. I didn't want to go into project management or managing, but I wanted to do more technical stuff. So I took more leadership role in designing solutions and architecting solutions. And then after a while it came, it's like I came to a place where I'm like, okay, this is challenging, but not enough challenging for me. So I need to figure out what is my challenge. Wow. So, and then I think I jumped into business. And when I jumped into business, I have no clue what to do. But I have been successful, and I went into a business where it is very difficult, somebody with no background, if you haven't been into that business, that you're there, but I have been successful. So I think that is my, more than an accomplishment, is like, it's not, we all have right now for this generation, I feel, is that we have an opportunity to achieve to a certain extent. But the thing we can do is that don't get yourself stagnant over there. Sure. Challenge yourself to take it to the next level.
Sure. Continue to push yourself. Never settle for never settle for what you have. Always work for more. I couldn't agree more. All right, so now the question is, who is the one woman that has been the most instrumental in aiding you in becoming the woman that you are today? Who is the one woman? And I'm sure that's going to be difficult, so I'm being specific when I say one, because I'm sure we can pull. But who is the one? And let me say this. I'm saying woman because, of course, this is Women's History Month. I could say men, but we're going to go with woman because it's Women's History Month, right? So the gentlemen that are out here, I don't want you all to be upset. Just celebrate with us as we go along, all right? Okay. The one woman.
Had I been asked this question 3 or 5 years ago, I would have answered this question differently. But a year ago, I lost my mom. And that's been the most challenging. I said I wasn't going to I said that, as I thought I was ready for that. But I lost my mom. And I thought losing my dad, who I lost just 2 years prior to losing my mom, I thought that was the toughest part of my life. But losing my mom brought me face to face with my own mortality. And my mom is the most selfless woman that I know, because what I found out was my mom was a housewife. And my mom and my dad raised 7 children. My mother had dreams of being a journalist. I didn't know that until one day she visited, her and my dad came to visit me in my office when I was first promoted to director of HR. And I saw my mom walking around my office, and I saw her gaze out of the window in my office. And my mom just out of nowhere said, I wanted to be a journalist. And I didn't know that, because all I thought my mom ever wanted to be was a caregiver for me and my siblings. And for anyone to give up their dream to take care of another human being, for my mom to give up her dream to take care of her husband and her children, that is the most selfless act that any person can do. And so it's my mother who is the most instrumental woman, the most influential woman to me. If I could be half, I thought that all that I had done up to that point was great, was everything. When I heard my mother say that, I felt small. And all I want to do from this moment forward, or from that day forward, all I wanted to do was to emulate the selflessness that my mother demonstrated.
Wow.
So she is that woman for me.
Absolutely. Awesome.
For me, yes, as I said earlier in the afternoon panel, that I have 2 beautiful elder sisters who are entirely responsible, along with my dad, of course, and my brother, but who are responsible of who I am and what I will be. Why? Because they know me more than I know myself. And they are there to take care of things which I cannot, because I am here taking care only of my business. So I am blessed to have a family like that, and I would like to continue to teach, if I have kids ever, the same kind of things, that you support each other, making sure that it's not just one person dream, it's a family dream, so that they can actually talk about you.
Awesome. That's it. Rekha?
I'm going to not stick with your one thing, but I'll say for first part of my career and life, for us everyone, it was my mom. She got married at age of 10, and she was very intelligent, but she wanted to study, but she was not given an opportunity to study. So she always influenced us to make her achievements. She wanted whatever she could not do, she wanted to achieve through me. So every achievement I have succeeded until I started my business. It was my mom's dream, and I was executing her dream. It was not my dream. I was executing her dream. So that was from a cultural side, but again, I thought it was an important thing I wanted to say is that we all get influenced by my mom. And when I thought that was a great thing, I got influenced by my mom, so I tried to use a similar thing to my daughter, saying, hey, how about you have to achieve this thing, this thing, this thing. And then my daughter answered to me and said, why are you looking into me to your achievement? If you want to achieve, you need to achieve, and then I will follow you.
Oh, wow.
And which is an opening, which made me think is like, oh, that might be a good example for our generation. For the next generation, if I have to do is that I don't tell them, I have to do what we can do so they can emulate what they see.
Live it so that they see it. Lakitha?
I hope my mother's not watching this, but she will be A-okay with it. Of course, I guess you guys could guess the answer. It's my grandmother. And when I say that is, my mom, I would say me and my mom probably was raised up like sisters. I was raised in the same house that my mother was raised in. And my grandmother just had it. She had maybe, it was like 11 of us, of the grandkids. Which she allowed my mom, because she had us very young, and she's like, you know what? Don't take the kids. They need to stay here. And you go out and make a career with that. It was a very long time. I did not realize my grandmother could not read. She was always on me about my homework. She could not read at all. And what I was doing for my grandmother was teaching her how to accomplish that. She would always tell me, get a book and get here, and I need to hear you read. I need to hear that. And it was me teaching my grandmother at that. Now mind you, she could make some mean biscuits, okay? we never went a day hungry, not in that house. But the fact that I was able to get raised in that environment and have a childhood, we never knew what, I would say, people would say, oh, he was on the farm and everything. Not a day that we had poverty in there, because again, we were raised up on the farm. We ate everything from the land. The only time we ever went to the market, we were the market. We were the farmer's market. People came to us. That's what we were doing. But she inspired me so much. The stories that I could tell would just blow you away. So for me, and my mom would agree, she's the anchor. And the fact that she's still kicking at 102 right now, I'm not sure if I want to live that long if I had my good health. And she is. She still can hear. She still can talk. She still know how to have a conversation. And when I say hear, she can hear. So don't try to get slick, because she what did you say? Nothing. Nothing at all. But love that lady to pieces, but just reminiscing on that, and the fact that not only was she my teacher, I was her teacher as well.
Awesome. So you talk about being the teacher to your grandmother, who you never, remotely thought that was what's happening. You living through your daughter, she caught it before you did. We have some dynamic stories as women. We have some very distinct and dynamic stories as women. Your story, profound, right? Profound. Your story, profound. It's amazing. I attended an event, not a couple of years ago, just before COVID. I attended an event, and I was being recognized, an award. And so they had recognized, talked about several other people before myself. This was actually an event about women, believe it or not, March of Dimes. And so when it was my turn, there was a TV above, and so my face came up on the TV. There's a young lady at the podium, and so she has my bio. So she starts to read the bio. And she talks about this, and she says this, and she talks about that. And so when she finishes reading the bio, everyone stood up, and there was a standing ovation. I stood up, and I was a part of the standing ovation, because this woman had just read the bio of someone. It blew your mind to hear of the accomplishments, right? And not minding the picture that's above. So everyone in the room stood up and clapped. I stood up because everyone else stood up, and I clapped. And it was me that they were waiting on to come to the podium. But I forgot that it was me. The girl next to me hits me and monitors me or gestures for me to go to the podium. Here's what I got out of that. Here's what I got out of that. We live our lives. We work so hard. We raise families. We take care of children. We work and build careers. We run companies. We oftentimes don't get to realize and hear and recognize our own accomplishments as women. I'm listening to this woman, President, under the Obama administration, she served on the IRS board and responsible for policies that small businesses use. Under Governor Jeb Bush, she served on the water management under the mayor and the governor. And I'm listening to this, and I'm like, wow, whoever this chick is, she's bad. Not realizing it was me, because we're always in the hustle. We're always in the detail of the hustle. And as women, we don't really have time, it seems, to slow down and recognize our own accomplishments. And that's one of the things that Women's History Month allows us to do. Not Women's History Month, but certainly taking the time out at a time such as now. So even for you all, even for our young women that are students, many of you are still coming from careers or families that run businesses, and you've made a contribution. Take the time to think about those contributions. Write it down. Take the time to celebrate yourselves, as Professor Hampton has mentioned. Take the time to celebrate yourselves. So here's the next question. Can you identify at least 2 women, whether they are local, whether they are national, whether they are global, 2 women that have made an impact and a contribution in our society? And what is that contribution? 2 women.
Yeah. The 2 women who have really I have so many women who have been part of my life, who have mentored, who have inspired. But 2 specifically I felt had a very unique way, which I don't know them personally, but I kind of learned from them. One is Justice Ginsburg. Oh, I love the way she has had an impact with her policy.
Yes.
You know, you don't need to do rallies. I'm saying that's one part of it.
Sure.
But we also have to go into much more depth of leadership, much more into where actual impact can actually take place. And that's something I have really, really admired her.
RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was a bad girl, yeah. And so, another?
The second one was the Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi. She is the only, so far, the only woman Prime Minister. And as a child or a teenager, I'm growing up, I was very inspired by her. She was so ruthless, where she would take over and make decisions against men. I'm not against on men, but I'm saying is that it's a very difficult place in a politics world, and how well she was able to take and do, which gave me an inspiration that there's nothing stops you or nothing. Everybody says this or that, but if you have that willpower, you can achieve it. And these were the 2 women helped me and guided me in few things.
Awesome. Ladies, 2 women that you believe have made, or certainly in your mind, have made a impactful contribution in our society.
Well, 2 of the women, one that I truly love is Maya Angelou. We talk about, she's definitely a trailblazer for what she's done, civil active movement that she's been involved in and so forth, and just coming out of Black History Month and so forth. Like, she is one of them definitely that I would say has made that impact. And then for those of you, and I'm going to go way back a little bit, Rosa Parks. So I'm not sure if anyone in the room know what Rosa Parks has done, especially for just people of color and so forth, and even just her, she was a woman that made that movement as far as stating that she was not going to give up her seat during that time. So, just really looking back at the history and how that has changed what we do today. So, like, not really looking at the history and kind of prolonging it, but what that change actually made on how we are. Because I'm looking at South Florida. South Florida is a melting pot.
Yeah.
Melting pot. I'm looking at some great panelists here. Hearing you guys' story has been so inspiring. I've made so many new friends, whether it's, Spanish. My last name is Urieto, so it's from Spain, with it. Husband from Africa, but his grandfather is from Spain. So, again, we're thinking about this big old melting pot of how, it's made a change, how we've actually communicated with each other.
Awesome.
So the first woman for me is Anita Hill. And Anita Hill is an attorney, she's an educator, and she in 1991 testified before Congress after now Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas was nominated for the Supreme Court. She testified in a hearing during his nomination of sexual harassment, that she alleged he sexually harassed her. She is arguably the original #MeToo. And why she's so significant and so impactful is that President George W. Bush dropped his opposition to the bill that allows victims of sexual harassment to sue and to have their jobs reinstated as a result of what Anita Hill did in her testifying. And in addition to that, 1 year after her testifying, EEOC sexual harassment charges went up by more than 50%. And so I can only imagine what she endured during her testifying and all of the ridicule, but her impact, her significance to bringing awareness to sexual harassment in the workplace, and to allowing women to gain the courage to come forward is evident. And the impact that she's had on legislation after that is evident. And so Anita Hill is the first woman for me. The next woman is Shirley Chisholm. Shirley Chisholm is the first woman elected to Congress. She's the first black woman elected, first woman and first woman of color elected to Congress. And she's also the first woman and person of color to receive the presidential nomination for a major party. So Shirley Chisholm has done a lot for legislation, and she was impactful then. She was a major opponent of weapons development. And when we look at what is happening in this country today, the recent gun violence, the recent shootings in our schools, with the lack of gun legislation, for Shirley Chisholm, for her platform to be weapon opposition, and for all of the impactful legislation that she supported, I think that Shirley Chisholm is definitely one of those women that sticks out most for me.
And you ladies have certainly identified women that have made a difference in our society. And so whether it's here in the U.S., whether it's in India, you certainly have. And so in closing out, here's the question. This one, not going to take you long to think about, but it's going to make a difference in what you say. What is the one thing that you believe, or what is the one contribution you have made or you are striving to make that you plan to leave as your legacy? What is the one act or activity or role that you have played or that you have engaged in or that you are engaging in and evolving that you believe will be the legacy that you will either leave or pass on?
I think to the generation which is coming up, courage to take risk, even if you are the most vulnerable person, or rather you are in your most vulnerable situation, and have a right attitude is the thing that I would like to pass on, because that's the role that I have played, that's the quality that I think I have, and I want especially the females of my family to have that, and especially for education. Do not let them, anyone stop them from doing what they deserve and what they want. That's it.
Your legacy, your legacy, your legacy, your legacy. We're listening, we're listening, we're listening.
Ooh, my legacy. Well, again, I'm thinking about it on a personal level, right? My kids, I said I'm a mother of 4. So me being in the background of finance, and we hear a lot of times where, and this is me being a banker for close to 20 years. So one is just my personal brand, of course, is understanding that, that's what you build because that's what your kids are going to remember. But breaking that cycle when it comes to financial wealth, I think that's really important. I've spent that long in banking, really speaking with a lot of different people to where they don't really know how to work with their finances, and that's important, and that's from low income and on up. But just really kind of working with my family, understanding that, breaking that cycle with financial wealth, helping them go through that cycle, understanding how they can actually get to that next level. Because again, sometimes you don't have it all, and you don't have to have it all when it comes to that. But it's knowing how to actually manage that and really be able to live off what you have. And that's truly important when it comes to our youth. I actually teach financial literacy. So just a shameless plug if you ever need any financial literacy teaching. But that's very important when it comes into understanding how to actually work with those particular finances. So I would say that would be it. Just making sure that my family and anybody that I have encountered, they can definitely say that I've actually helped them with that.
Planting the seed to understand how to build wealth. Planting the seed to building wealth. Got it.
Could you repeat your question, please?
The question is...
Because I was listening to the money thing. That's all that stuck out for me is the money.
What have you done? What are you doing? What are you going to do in terms of what you intend to leave as your legacy? Establish as and or pass on as your legacy.
I've always been a God-led leader, a faith-led leader. Always have been. I always wanted that and desired that and lead by faith. But what this world needs now, what it has needed for a very long time, leadership has to be redefined. Leadership is not popularity. Leadership is not title. Leadership is not salary. Leadership is not anything other than your willingness to serve and your ability to impact lives. That's what leadership is. So if I leave a legacy of anything, it is my tireless fight to redefine leadership. That is the legacy that I wish to leave. My fight to redefine leadership, and doing so in 5.5-inch stilettos.
Awesome, Reka.
I don't know if I have anything right now as far as you behind for legacy. But one thing bothers me, or which I want to, the next step of my life I would like to do. I don't know how I'm going to do, but I know my end goal. I have traveled all over the world. I went to the most richest countries, I went to the most poorest countries. Every place is rich in plastic trash. Every place. You go to the most poorest country, you go to the best parks, you go to Africa, and you go to Ganges, you go to best rivers, and all of these places, right? And I see the most poorer countries are more rich in the plastic. And more rich countries are better managed than that. We all are talking about that topic. Everybody wants to do something about it. I don't know if I can do it in a bigger way or not, but I wanted to bring in, there are few things which I feel like missing. In order to succeed that thing, we have to bring quite a few factors. We have to bring policy, we have to bring education, we have to bring technology and the tools. And my goal or legacy is to at least stop one product of plastic, which is eradicated worldwide, one product. And where I could create a solution which could be used by everybody who could replicate that solution. I don't need to do that. I just want to create one.
That's awesome. Wow. Helping in terms of sustaining the environment. And so you don't have to, you're not looking to eradicate or take away all plastic, but if you could just make a difference in one way, right? Just remove one item from poisoning or contaminating our waterways or our streets or our food. Wow, that's pretty awesome, Rekha. And last but not least, did Jody? Okay. So then that's the old lady talking here. Then so. Again, I think I opened up talking about, and if I didn't, I spoke to you all about how speechless I was from our panel earlier today, and you all have just taken it to a whole nother level. To our viewing audience, to our student body, to our faculty and staff that have joined us on this evening, to those of you that are watching us live, I hope that there was something that was said by our panelists that has inspired you, that has motivated you, that has in some way or another caused you to make a change, make a difference, make a move. What our panelists have shared on this evening as it relates to women, women's contributions, their own contributions and what they seek to do, I'm speechless. Phenomenal. For those of us that are here, what do you think about this evening? Were you inspired? Did someone say something that made sense to you? Are these stories that causes you to believe and to better understand a woman's role is more than what typically society would recognize it as? A woman's role is more than the money that she makes less than her counterpart, her male counterpart. And certainly it's not to disparage men, but just to talk about how phenomenal women are, the contributions of women. It's important that you all continue to do what you're doing, tell your stories. It's important that you, with us, be inspired in some kind of way. If you haven't thought about your legacy, I hope that you are now thinking about your legacy, right? If you haven't thought about wealth building or generational wealth, right? I hope that you are now thinking about it. Let's give a hand to those of us, our panel members, please. I'm speechless. So without further ado, I want to just, if you will, very quickly, what is it that you will say to close us out this evening? Quick word.
Follow me on Instagram at High Heel Leadership. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm Natasha Hampton, or at High Heel Leadership. And continue to fight. Don't give up the fight. Whatever it is that you're passionate about, fight, because you are making a difference. You're making a difference for you, and you're making a difference for someone else. At High Heel Leadership.
All right, so what I would definitely say, I'm not one of those ones that be on Instagram or anything like that, but definitely my professional page, which is LinkedIn. What I would say, really speaking to you all, young, aspiring to, go out in the workforce. Something I would close you off is, really find you a mentor. If you don't have a mentor, get you a mentor. And what I mean by that is, because sometimes you will have that sponsor in the room that will speak for you that you won't even know how your name got in the pot. Get you a mentor. if you don't have one now, and really kind of work on that on a professional level, because I'm pretty sure most of you are already going to be graduating very soon as you work on your next career profession. So it was a pleasure being here to share our story with you all. And again, thank you so much, Atlantis, for inviting us to really speak our story.
Jyoti?
It's a very common phrase that be the change you wish to see. And be yourself. You don't have to be like anybody else to be at a point where you dream of yourself to be. Just be who you are. And it's okay to not know everything in life. If you don't know it, educate yourself and approach right people the right way to get it done. That's it.
Awesome. Be the change you want to see. Bada bing. Rekha?
Thank you, Maya, and thank you, Atlantis, for giving me this opportunity. I would say in each one of you, if you are over here, it means you have achieved it. You are one of very few people who have come across, who have done, if you take your 7 billion population, how many people have done masters or undergrad. So that's a big achievement. So enjoy and celebrate each of your, enjoy each of your achievements. And again, I think as far as a career side of it, or if you want to achieve anything, mentorship is an important thing. And always join some organizations, because that's where you will, whichever field you want to go and join those organizations, because that's where you can get more information and networking.
Again, thank you all for being here this evening. Thank you all that are live with us for tuning in. I am Dr. Maya Bird-Stewart. This is Atlantis University, and thank you once again for thinking enough of us that you would share with us on this evening. Women's History Month. Celebrate. You've got one more day.